They called him names and took photos to humiliate him, but then Stallone grabbed the bar. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as he stepped through the gym doors, heart pounding so loudly he was certain everyone could hear it. His backpack felt like a sack of bricks, and the weight of his own insecurities pressed him toward the nearest wall. Rows of gleaming machines and clanging weights felt like obstacles in an obstacle course designed just to humiliate him. He glanced around, hoping to find a friendly face, but all he saw were hardened expressions and confident athletes who seemed to belong to another world entirely. Take a second to subscribe, it really helps. Thanks. Now back to the story. He settled on a bench press station, sliding onto the padded seat and wiping sweaty palms on the leg of his shorts. A trio of older boys in matching gym shirts paused their workout to size him up. One nudged another, and they stepped closer, their laughter bouncing off the walls. "Think you can lift more than your own backpack?" sneered the tallest, fingers drumming on the barbell rack. The others echoed with snickers, voices low enough that not everyone would hear if they weren't paying attention. But he heard every word. Determined not to let them see him crumble, he approached the barbell with trembling legs. He gripped the cold steel and tried to recall the few online tutorials he'd watched, but his arms felt like jelly. As he strained to lift, a sarcastic whistle cut through the gym's ambient noise. The bar barely budged, and a weight plate clattered to the floor. Heat rushed to his face as the bullies pressed in closer, mocking his slow, stuttering reps. A gym monitor jogged by, glancing at the scene, but moving on without a word. His shoulders slumped. He tried again, breath coming in short gasps, desperation fueling his attempt, but the barbell moved only an inch before gravity reclaimed it. The tallest bully snatched his phone and snapped a photo, shouting to his friends, "Look at this chubster try to lift weights." Classic. The selfie flashed across screens. Instant humiliation rippled through the room. Some gym-goers paused in their routines, eyes darting toward him before quickly shifting away. His chest tightened, and he dropped his head, cheeks burning. He stepped back, shoulders heavy, and turned toward the exit, ready to flee. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he saw a tall figure leaning against a squat rack, arms crossed, watching. His breath caught as recognition struck. Then the world seemed to tilt on its axis. He returned the next morning with legs that felt leaden and a stomach knotted in dread. The gym smelled of rubber mats and sweat, each inhale reminding him of yesterday's embarrassment. He hung his towel on a hook by the mirror and approached the dumbbell rack, choosing a weight so light it felt insulting. As he lifted, whispers crackled behind him. Snippets of conversations dipped in amusement. "That kid again? But he's here to get mocked some more." He focused on the mirror, studying the way his arms trembled. Each drop and lift echoed in his ears. A group of regulars clustered near the squat station, heads bent together in conspiratorial chatter. Occasionally one of them would break away, saunter over, and pick up their own weights just feet from him. They'd clink the plates together as though applauding a pathetic show. He forced his legs to stay rooted, brow beading with sweat, and kept his eyes locked on his reflection. His breathing was loud against the dancers' thumping music in his headphones. Between sets, he felt the sting of judgmental gazes. Some gym-goers glanced his way, their expressions unreadable, curiosity, pity, or quiet disdain. One woman pressed her lips together, turning back to her smartphone. A man at the cable machine smirked before catching himself, flashing a quick smile that felt more like an excuse than kindness. He tried to soak in their energy, to sculpt it into determination, but the whispers felt like tiny needles against his spine. He lowered himself onto an inclined bench and loaded a modest pair of plates, hands shaking as he adjusted the collars. The metal clanked, a sound too loud in the hush that settled around him. He pressed upward, muscles quivering, willing himself not to collapse. Behind him, a faint snicker broke the silence. He didn't dare look. Instead, he dug deeper, each rep an act of quiet rebellion against every doubter. As he racked the weights, his arms shook harder than ever, but something had shifted. The whispers seemed more distant, muted by the rumble in his chest. He realized the noise around him. Every snide comment, every stolen glance, was simply part of a trial he'd chosen. And trials, he reminded himself, were opportunities in disguise. With a slow exhale, he rose from the bench, shoulders straighter, and stepped forward toward the next challenge. Sweat traced paths down his back as he adjusted the straps of his tank top, exposing arms he barely recognized as his own. The fabric clung to his skin, making him feel both exposed and resolute. He approached the mirror, checking his form before picking up the curl bar. Every movement felt amplified, his heart hammering, breath shallow. Across the gym, he saw them again. The trio who'd made yesterday unforgettable. They lounged by the leg press machines, conspiring over their phones. He swallowed, rolled his shoulders back, and began his curls. Each rep was deliberate, muscles tightening under strain. Whispers drifted from the bully trio's corner. "Nice top, champ. You lost weight, trying to let the air in." The tallest sneered, voice loud enough for nearby trainers to hear. His friends snickered, lifting their own weights theatrically. One of them even flexed, twisting his arm as if in a bodybuilding ad, then pointed at the teen's trembling arms. His ears burned, but he kept curling rep by rep. A drop of sweat slipped his elbow, and he paused to wipe his forehead. He caught his reflection. There was something new in his eyes, determination. The taunts felt distant, like background noise he could dampen. He focused on the mirror, on steady breathing, on muscles moving under skin. Then someone tapped him on the shoulder. He turned, expecting the worst. Another jeer. Instead, Stallone stood before him, arms crossed, an unreadable look in his eyes. Behind Stallone, a few gym regulars paused their workouts, curious. Stallone's gaze shifted to the curl bar in the teen's hands. "Mind if I take a look?" he asked quietly. The bullies froze, their smirks faltering. Handing over the bar, the teen stepped back, heart racing for a new reason. Stallone adjusted his grip, demonstrating a smooth curl. The muscles in his arms flexed effortlessly, yet powerfully. He handed the bar back and offered a curt nod. "Keep at it," he said, voice steady. "Focus on your form. It's not about how heavy you lift, but how well you control it." The bully trio exchanged uneasy glances, their confidence shaken by Stallone's quiet authority. The teen's chest tightened with something unfamiliar, pride. As Stallone walked away, the gym's atmosphere shifted. Tank top and all, he no longer felt like a target but the beginning of something stronger. His chest heaved as he stared down at the loaded barbell, knuckles white against the cold metal. The squat rack felt like a mountain he had to conquer. He inched under the bar, shoulders trembling under the weight of his own doubts. Each breath was a pact with himself. One more rep, one more inch. He lifted, legs quivering under pressure, and sank into squat. A hush settled over the gym, like the world was holding its breath with him. His thighs burned so fiercely that his vision blurred at the edges. Those same gym-goers who'd mocked him before watched in stunned silence. The bully trio lingered nearby. No laughter this time, only uncertain glances. Sweat dripped down his temples as he fought to rise, every muscle screaming for relief. He reached the bottom of the squat, hips hovering just above his knees, and froze. Gravity pressed him down like a physical force of shame, reminding him of every past failure. A flicker of panic gripped him, and he felt himself slipping. He blinked back tears as voices in his head screamed to let go, to drop the bar and run. But then he felt it, a solid presence beside him. Stallone's hand closed over the bar, fingertips steady. "Breathe," came the low instruction. "Drive through your heels." He exhaled, imagining the floor pushing back. He gripped the bar tighter, channeling resolve into each fiber of his legs. Clarity anchored him. He rose, inch by inch, muscles locking and unlocking with disciplined precision. His knees steadied, back straightened, and finally he stood tall, barbell secure on his shoulders. The gym erupted, not with jeers, but with genuine applause. The bully trio stepped back, their mouths parted in surprise. He racked the weight, each clang a testament to his achievement. His legs trembled as he stepped away from the rack. The mirror reflected someone different. Not the frightened teen from yesterday, but someone forged in resistance. Stallone stepped forward, giving him a nod that carried more praise than any shouted compliment could. In that moment, the whispers turned from mockery to admiration. He realized struggle was not the enemy. It was proof that he was fighting to become stronger. With a steady breath, he moved on to his next set, determined to keep rewriting his story, one rep at a time. They framed their little contest as a tournament, the Bullies Championship. Word spread through the gym like wildfire. Today at 3 o'clock, the loser ate a week of humiliations. The trash-talking trio set the rules: deadlift, bench press, and 1-minute plank. If he lost, his punishment would be posted on every social feed in the gym. He showed up early, heart pounding, mind sharpening itself into focus. The bullies swaggered in matching shirts, arms crossed, muscles pumped. They high-fived each other, voices loud enough for everyone to hear. Gym members gathered around, some whispering bets. Stallone lingered nearby, arms folded, watching. He gave no sign of surprise. The kid's progress didn't escape him. The team tightened his gloves, wiped his palms, and readied himself. First event, deadlift. The bar was loaded heavier than anything he'd tried before. He crouched, gripped the bar back-arched. He lifted, legs and hips rising together. Midway, his pace slowed, muscles screaming. The tallest bully sneered, expecting him to collapse. But he remembered Stallone's words, "Drive through your heels." He drove, and the bar reached lockout. The crowd murmured. The bully followed, meeting his deadlift, but only barely. Round 1 tie. Next, bench press. He lay flat, heart racing. The bar felt like a challenge from history itself. He unracked, lowered it to his chest, and pressed. His arms trembled violently, but he pressed through. He locked out the lift. Nearby, the bully grunted through his rep, but missed full extension. Round 2. He was ahead. Last plank. 60 seconds of holding form. He planted elbows, tightened core, and kept hips level. Seconds ticked by like hours. He felt his body slump, but he refused to let gravity win. Behind him, the bullies wobbled early, collapsing into exhausted heaps. Stallone stepped closer, nodding approval. When the timer hit 60, his arms were fire, but he held firm. The gym exploded in cheers. The bullies slunk away, faces flushed with dignity lost. Phones had recorded every lift. They'd wagered on his defeat, and now their own humiliation would echo online. But today he was the champion. Stallone clapped him on the shoulder, voice low. "That's how you own your strength." Pride swelled in his chest. The whispers had turned to admiration, and the gym felt like his arena now. He caught his breath as he stepped off the platform, chest heaving and skin slick with sweat. The aftermath of victory hummed around him. Claps, whistles, a few fist bumps from impressed gym-goers. His eyes scanned the crowd, searching for Stallone. He found him leaning against the rowing machines, arms folded, expression unreadable but unmistakably approving. A small nod passed between them, and something tightened in his chest: gratitude, disbelief, newfound confidence. Beyond Stallone, he noticed faces he'd never seen before drawn to the commotion. A burly trainer in a branded hoodie approached, offering a firm handshake and quick praise. "Solid work," he said. Nearby, a young woman tucked a strand of hair behind her ear and smiled shyly. She gave a thumbs up before returning to her set. Even the regulars who'd snickered earlier now regarded him with something like respect. Their whispers hushed. His gaze drifted farther, to the back corner of the gym where the older lifters congregated. They'd watched silently, arms crossed, measuring his progress. A grizzled veteran with tattoos peered over his glasses and gave a slow clap. The gesture was subtle, but it carried weight. Men like him spoke through action, not words. Stallone walked over, footsteps deliberate. The teen felt the air shift, as if the entire gym held its breath. "People notice what you do when you think no one's looking," Stallone said, voice low but firm. "You showed heart today." He laid a hand on the teen's shoulder, firm but light, and squeezed once. "Keep going." Across the way, the bully trio lingered. No trash talk now, just uneasy silence. The tallest one met his gaze for a moment, eyes flicking away, then shuffled off with the others. Their dominance had dissolved in the echo of his lifts. He looked back at Stallone, who was already walking away, blending into the gym's rhythm. The teen realized the crowd had shifted around him, too. No longer a target, he'd become a part of something bigger, a community that respected effort over appearance. With each pair of eyes that met his, he felt a connection, a silent acknowledgement that strength wasn't just physical. It was the courage to stand up, lift, and keep going even when everyone was watching. The clang of weights echoed off the walls as he moved through his routine, each lift a quiet testament to his progress. Across the gym, Stallone stood in the shadows of the squat racks, arms crossed, watching without a word. His gaze never wavered, tracking every rep, every twitch of muscle. It felt as though the actor's presence carried its own gravity, and with each lift, the teen felt both challenged and protected. He settled under the bar for squats, breath steadying as he positioned himself. The gym's usual buzz faded, replaced by the steady thrum of his own heartbeat. He pressed upward, thighs burning, and in the corner of his vision, he saw Stallone lean forward, interested. It wasn't encouragement or judgment, just focus. That concentrated attention pushed him, made him straighten just that fraction more, dug in for the last rep. He moved to the bench press next, laying back on the leather and gripping the bar. As he lowered it, Stallone shifted, hands on hips, brow furrowed. The teen felt exposed under those eyes, as if each muscle fiber were under scrutiny. But the scrutiny was fair, honest, unyielding. He trusted it, letting it sharpen his form, tighten his core. Between sets, he lunged with dumbbells, and Stallone's silent watch never faltered. The gym's other members seemed to sense the charge too, stepping a little lighter, glancing toward the two of them. The teen wondered what Stallone thought. Was he impressed, critical, calculating? The ambiguity felt electric, driving him deeper into each movement. When he moved to the pull-up bar, he hesitated, fear flickering at the edges of his confidence. Stallone detached from his perch and crossed the floor without breaking stride. He stopped just out of reach, eyes locked on the teen's grip. Without a word, Stallone offered a nod, a simple gesture, but enough to steel his resolve. He wrapped fingers around the bar and hauled himself up, chin clearing the bar for the first time. The gym seemed to exhale around him. Stallone remained still, expression inscrutable, then took a single step back, as though giving him space to claim this moment. The teen dropped down, legs trembling, and exhaled hard. Stallone's gaze lingered for another beat before he turned away, melting back into the rows of machines. The silence between them spoke volumes. Approval earned through effort, trust built in quiet observation. He'd grown used to the hum of the gym, the rhythm of clanking steel and the soft grunts of fellow lifters. But today, the tension felt different, an undercurrent of expectation. He'd just finished his deadlift set when he heard it, the familiar jeer cutting through the noise. "Hey, tank top boy, think you've got what it takes? Or just fancy yourself a stunt double now?" The bully's voice was sharp, echoing off the walls. He straightened, wiping sweat from his brow. Across the floor, the trio lounged by the cable machines, smirking. One of them tossed a chalky hand toward him, then wiped it on his shirt as if marking him with ridicule. A circle formed. Curious onlookers paused their workouts, waiting for the show. His chest tightened. He'd faced their mockery before, but there was a new edge to it now, fueled by bruised pride. The tallest bully stepped forward, barbell hovering at his feet. "Let's make it interesting," he sneered. "You and me, bench press off. Loser does 20 push-ups in the middle of the gym." The others cheered, egging him on. The teens got twisted, but he refused to back down. He nodded curtly. Stallone, leaning against the leg press, watched in silence, arms folded. The teen moved to the bench, heart pounding so hard he thought it might burst. He loaded the bar with cautious precision, imagining each plate a block of doubt he intended to lift off. The bully followed suit, stacking heavier weights with practiced ease. He lay back first, chest rising and falling in calm preparation. When he pressed, the bar moved smoothly under his control. Then it was the teen's turn. He inhaled, gripped the cold metal, and lowered it to his chest. The weight pressed down like a physical reminder of every insult, every whisper. He pressed upward, muscles quivering, lit by sheer will. Halfway up, his arms shook violently, but he gritted his teeth and pushed. The bar inched upward until his arms locked out. The gym erupted in cheers and surprised gasps. The bully strained through his rep, but could barely budge the weight once, collapsing back onto the bench. Silence fell, then Stallone stepped forward, voice low but carrying. "Well done." The teen's chest swelled, not with arrogance, but with the quiet triumph of proof. The bully slunk away, face pale, conceding defeat without a word. As the gym returned to its normal clamor, the teen realized the final mockery had turned into his greatest victory yet. He stood panting beside the bench, heart still racing from the challenge. The bully had retreated, red-faced and silent, leaving the barbell shining under the gym lights. He approached it cautiously, fingers brushing the smooth steel, as though unsure this victory was real. Just as he reached to rack the plates, a heavy hand closed over the bar beside his own grip. He glanced up to see Stallone standing there, eyes level with his own. No words passed between them. None were needed. Stallone's hand was firm, unyielding, yet guiding. The teen inhaled deeply, settling his shoulders, and together they lifted the barbell, raising it a few inches off the rack. The weight felt lighter with the added support, but he knew it was more than physics at work. Stallone's grip shifted slightly, demonstrating how to balance the load, how to engage the back and core in unison. The teen mirrored the movement, muscles activating in ways he'd never felt before. For a moment, time slowed, the gym's sounds fading into the background. It was just the two of them, barbell between them, sharing an unspoken lesson. When he set the bar back down, Stallone's hand lingered a moment longer before releasing it. The teen met his gaze, uncertainty mixed with gratitude, and Stallone nodded once, a subtle seal of approval. The crowd around them, a few curious onlookers and the trio of bullies, watched in silence, as though witnessing a passing of a torch. He exhaled, weight shifting off his shoulders, but he felt lighter than ever. Stallone patted his back, then stepped away, melting back into the gym's ebb and flow. The teen ran his fingers over the bar one last time, feeling the imprint of that guiding hand. In that silent exchange, he understood that strength wasn't just about lifting heavy. It was about knowing when to seek support, when to trust guidance, and when to stand tall on his own. A hush fell over the gym as Stallone stepped onto the platform set for the day's special event. He cleared his throat, and even the rhythmic clatter of weights seemed to pause. The teen felt his pulse spike. He'd gone from underdog to contender, but this was something else entirely. Stallone's voice was calm, measured. "I've watched you push yourself these past few days," he began, gaze sweeping the onlookers before landing on the teen. "Now it's time for you to set the pace." He gestured to a heavy sled tethered to a weight stack. "That sled there, loaded to challenge your core, legs, and heart. I want you to push it across the length of the gym in under 30 seconds. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. The bully trio exchanged uneasy glances. The sled looked massive, far beyond the teen's previous lifts. Doubt flickered in his mind, but Stallone's steady stare quelled it. He approached the sled, gloved hands brushing the cold metal. Stallone's shadow stretched alongside him as he squared his stance. "Remember what you've learned," Stallone called quietly. "Drive through your heels. Keep your back neutral. Push with intent." The teen nodded, chest tight. A whistle sliced through the air. He braced, exhaled, and lunged forward, hands digging into the sled's bars. The weight groaned as it budged, then resisted. He leaned in, legs churning, and began to drive. Every step was warfare, muscles quivering, lungs burning, but he kept Stallone's words alive in his mind. Behind him, the crowd's cheers swelled, a tide building at his back. The sled inched forward, meter by grueling meter. As he crossed halfway, his vision blurred, doubt clawing at his resolve. He blinked, refocused, and summoned a final surge. With one last heave, he surged past the finish line. The timer buzzed, 28.4 seconds. The gym erupted. Stallone pumped a fist, then offered the teen a grin that cracked his stoic demeanor. "That's the difference between trying and doing," he said, voice fierce with approval. The teen's chest swelled, not just with relief, but with a fierce pride that no mockery could ever steal. The gym fell into a charged silence, as if every heartbeat echoed off the walls. Sweat-dampened athletes froze mid-rep, eyes drawn to the aftermath of a sled push. The teen stood panting, legs trembling, chest heaving with each breath. He felt every gaze, curious, impressed, some still skeptical, locked onto him. Stallone leaned against the squat rack, arms folded, watching with a proud glint in his eye. The teen's vision narrowed to that single presence, and for a moment the world beyond the gym doors ceased to exist. He inhaled deeply, tasting the metallic edge of victory on his tongue, and exhaled slowly, feeling tension ease from his shoulders. A coach nearby lowered his clipboard and approached, voice low but enthusiastic. "That was solid form under pressure. You've earned a spot in tomorrow's strength clinic." The teen's throat constricted. An invitation to a clinic meant more: access to knowledge, community, respect. The trio of bullies lingered at the cable machines, their earlier bravado gone limp. One of them cleared his throat, fumbled with his water bottle, and muttered something indistinct. The others nodded, avoiding eye contact. The teen squared his shoulders, remembering the countless times he'd wanted to disappear. Now he felt rooted, unshakable. Across the floor, a group of regulars broke the hush, offering nods and thumbs up. A few trainers winked appreciatively, acknowledging his grit. For the first time, he didn't shrink under their stares. He held his ground, breathing steadily, shoulders back. He met Stallone's gaze. In that look lay more than approval. It was a passing of confidence, a shared understanding that struggle, met head-on, transforms doubt into power. The crowd's collective breath seemed to hang in the air, waiting for what would come next. He dipped his chin in a nod toward Stallone and then toward the waiting rowing machine, ready for the next challenge. The silence broke as someone clapped, then another joined in. Applause swelled, filling the gym with genuine respect. As he moved forward, each step felt lighter, buoyed by the knowledge that today, in that moment, he belonged. Shaking hands gripped the water bottle as he sat on the locker room bench, droplets of sweat cooling on his skin. The adrenaline that had fueled him moments ago was draining fast, leaving a hollow whisper of uncertainty. His reflection in the mirror looked like someone else, stronger, braver, but the quiet of the empty room amplified his inner questions. Was it real, or just a flash in the pan? His phone buzzed with a message from the clinic coordinator. "Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow." He stared at the screen, mind racing. Tomorrow held more challenges, more eyes, more expectations. What if today had been a fluke? What if he stumbled in front of Stallone, the coaches, the rest of the gym? He rubbed his temples, recalling Stallone's nod of approval, the coach's invitation. Each memory felt both reassuring and heavy, like medals he wasn't sure he deserved. Doubt crawled in insidious. The weight of what was expected of him pressed against his chest. He'd gone from invisibility to scrutiny overnight. His thoughts spiraled. Was he ready for a full clinic? Would he embarrass himself before a room full of seasoned lifters? The locker room door creaked, and a teammate slipped in, someone who'd once offered a shy smile after seeing him train. "Hey," she said softly, holding out a towel. "You killed it today. Don't let the pressure get to you." She offered a small grin before leaving, and he realized her gesture carried genuine belief. He closed his eyes and inhaled, tasting the cool air mingled with lingering ozone from the gym lights. Stallone's words echoed. That's the difference between trying and doing. It wasn't about perfection. It was about showing up time and again. He opened his eyes, meeting his own gaze in the mirror. The teen who'd stepped in the gym on day one would never have believed this moment possible. And yet here he was. He exhaled, shoulders loosening. Doubt would come again, but so would the chance to push through. Tomorrow's clinic wasn't a trap. It was an opportunity. He stood, towel slung over his shoulder, and walked toward the door. Even doubt couldn't stop him from trying again. The next morning, the gym hummed with early bird energy as warm-up music pulsed through the speakers. He arrived early, anticipation knotting his stomach. Stallone was already there, standing by the rope ladder and medicine balls, sleeves rolled up to reveal weathered forearms. The teen paused, watching the actor move through a sequence of dynamic stretches. Leg swings, hip circles, deep lunges, each motion precise yet fluid. It was more than routine, it was a ritual. Stallone caught his eye and gestured him over. No words, just an expectant look. The teen mirrored the leg swings, feeling the tightness in his hamstrings loosen under Stallone's unobtrusive gaze. Next came lateral lunges, feet wide, shifting weight from side to side. Stallone demonstrated a controlled pace, hips dropping level as his gaze stayed fixed on the teen's form. The teen adjusted his stance, matching the rhythm. Medicine balls thumped against the floor as Stallone tossed one to him, grip firm, core engaged. The teen caught it, absorbing the impact, then threw it back with deliberate force. Stallone nodded once, approving the commitment behind the motion. They moved to the rope ladder. Quick feet tapped, each rung in a shuffle, hot feet and cold focus. Stallone's agility was surprising. Light on his toes, every step deliberate. The teen followed, breath quickening, trying to match the speed. Between sets, Stallone didn't speak. Instead, he demonstrated a full-body stretch, one foot on a bench, back straight, arms reaching high. The teen copied, feeling muscles lengthen and align. Then Stallone led them through band-resisted shoulder rotations, the elastic snapping softly as they warmed up joints. Each exercise built upon the last, a seamless progression toward readiness. When the warm-up ended, Stallone squared up opposite him. No fanfare, no announcement, just a final nod. The gym's bustle resumed around them, the teen now primed for the day's clinic. He felt prepared in a way he never had before, every muscle awakened, every joint primed. Stallone's silent guidance in those warm-up drills had spoken volumes. Preparation was the foundation of performance. As he picked up the first barbell of the clinic, he carried Stallone's lesson in his bones. He stood at the center of the clinic floor, the barbell before him gleaming under the fluorescent lights. On one side, Stallone offered a steadying presence, armored in experience, every line on his face a testament to battles won. On the other side, he felt the weight of his own doubt, whispering reminders of past failures. The barbell sat between those two worlds, what was and what could be. He approached it, feet shoulder-width apart, toes angled slightly out. He dipped, gripping the cold steel, and let his breath settle. Around them, gym-goers watched, notebooks in hand, ready to absorb every lesson. Stallone stepped forward, voice low but clear. Imagine pulling yourself out of your old limits. The barbell's not just weight, it's potential. He lifted, hips and shoulders moving in unison, feeling the bar rise along his shins. The world of doubt tried to tug him back, but he focused on Stallone's words and form. He locked out at the top, chest tall, then lowered with control. The barbell moved like a bridge, connecting the heavy past to the promise of strength. Next, he transitioned to the bench press station. He lay back, gripping the bar, and felt the push between comfort and challenge. The bench offered familiarity, but the added weight demanded growth. He pressed, each millimeter upward in negotiation between fear and resolve. Stallone watched, eyes sharp, nodding at micro-adjustments in grip and wrist alignment. On the deadlift platform, he hesitated just a moment longer. Stallone moved beside him, demonstrating the hinge, how the barbell taught body awareness. He keyed in on how Stallone's hips shifted, how the spine maintained neutrality. Then he lifted, pulling power from the ground up, feeling the barbell guide him toward balance. As the clinic wound down, he stood again before the barbell, no spotters around, just him and the weight. He inhaled, remembering the worlds he straddled. Then, with quiet determination, he lifted once more. When he locked out, the gym erupted into applause. Stallone stepped forward, placing a hand on his shoulder. The barbell, once a symbol of intimidation, had become a testament to the space he now inhabited, forged by effort, held between past and future. His chest tightened as he approached the squat rack, the weight plates gleaming like silent challengers. His palms were slick, heart hammering, but he'd rehearsed this moment all morning. No crowd now, just the metallic stage and his own breath. He settled under the bar, shoulders braced, and pulled it down onto his traps. Stallone stood a few feet away, arms crossed, but silent, trusting him to take the lead. He inhaled deeply, vision narrowing to the wall mirror's single reflection, himself, poised and ready. He dipped into the squat, knees tracking over toes, hips lowering past parallel. Pain flared in his quads, but he remembered the words echoing in his mind. Drive through your heels. He visualized roots extending from his feet into the floor, grounding him. At the bottom, gravity pressed like a force field, daring him to surrender. He clenched teeth, summoned courage, and reversed direction. His legs burned, sweat dripping onto the gym mat, but he rose inch by determined inch until his hips locked out. The bar clicked into the rack, and a rush of triumph flooded him. He stepped back, chest rising, and exhaled in a long, releasing breath. The world around him, clang of weights, hum of conversation, swelled back into focus. Stallone nodded, small but significant, as a handful of onlookers offered genuine applause. The bully trio watched from across the room, silence replacing their usual taunts. In that electric pause, he felt the weight of every past doubt crumble. He turned to the bench, settled in, and loaded a moderate weight. More than yesterday's, but less than his maximum. He pressed upward, arms burning, and felt a spark of exhilaration in the steady burn. Reps flowed, each one a quiet defiance against the voice that said he couldn't. When he racked the bar, his shoulders felt broader, physically and mentally. Stallone approached then, hand on his shoulder. "That was real," he said, voice low with approval. The teen's throat tightened as the gravity of those words settled in. Courage, he learned, wasn't the absence of fear. It was moving forward despite it. In that moment, he understood. Every lift was a choice to stand up, to push past the easier path of retreat. And today, he had chosen bravery. Heat rose in his cheeks as he slid next to Stallone at the deadlift platform, the actor's presence still as solid as the iron plates arranged before them. He loaded the bar with a hesitant hand, jaw clenched against the flutter of nerves. Stallone watched quietly, arms folded before breaking the silence. "Keep your chest up," he said, voice gentle but firm. "Lead with your sternum, not your hips." He nodded, adjusting his stance. He crouched, back straightening under Stallone's gaze, and gripped the bar. As he lifted, the weight hummed through his body. Halfway up, he felt his torso slump. Stallone's voice cut through the thunder of his heartbeat. "Drive your hips forward. Finish the pull." He summoned everything, core tight, shoulders back, hips snapping forward. The barbell locked out at his thighs. Triumph surged, but Stallone wasn't done. He stepped forward, pointing at the teen's feet. "Widen your stance just an inch. Your base needs to be your anchor. Strong foundation first." He reset, feet shifting outward as Stallone demonstrated with his own posture. Feet planted, weight balanced. He lifted again, and the bar rose smoother, the strain falling away in familiar arcs. Stallone nodded approvingly. "Now the shrug. After you lock out, lift your shoulders toward your ears. Activate those traps." He paused at lockout and shrugged, feeling new muscles wake under his skin. A spark of understanding lit his eyes. Stallone's voice softened. "It's detail work. Strength is built in the nuances. Master the little things, and the big things take care of themselves." On the bench press, Stallone crouched beside him, adjusting his wrist angle. "Keep your elbows at 45 degrees. Protect your shoulders. Press through the heel of your hand, not the tips of your fingers." He mimicked the motion, then stepped back. The teen pressed, each rep now an exercise in precision. As he racked the bar, Stallone placed a guiding hand on his shoulder. "You've got the heart," he said. "Now refine the craft." In that touch lay mentorship, the passing of hard-earned wisdom. The teen's chest swelled, not just from the weights, but from the lessons etched into muscle memory. He realized Sylvester's guidance was more than technique. It was the bridge between potential and mastery, one correction at a time. He chalked his hands and approached the clean and jerk station, the barbell crowned with plates he'd once thought impossible. His reflection in the mirror stared back, eyes resolved. He crouched low, gripping the bar with precision, back flat and chest proud. With a powerful pull, he lifted the bar to his shoulders, elbows rotating under the weight. It rattled in his grasp, but he held firm. A hush fell over the gym as spectators sensed history in the making. He paused, legs trembling under the load, then drove upward, thrusting the bar overhead in one fluid motion. His arms locked out, muscles quivering, and time flickered. The bar steadied above him, silent testament to his effort. His breath caught in his throat. He'd rehearsed that motion 100 times, each failure teaching him a nuance. Ankles aligned, core braced, wrist steady. Now, under bright lights and watchful eyes, it all clicked. The weight hovered, obedient to his command. Down below, Stallone leaned forward, eyes bright with approval. The teen felt a rush of gratitude and relief mingle with pride. With careful control, he lowered the bar to his shoulders, then back to the rack. Each clang of metal resonated like applause. As he stepped away, his legs still shaky, the gym exploded into cheers. Trainers and lifters alike clapped him on the back, voices praising his form and determination. Even the bully trio stood, silent and wide-eyed. None dared to mock now. He exhaled, the tension ebbing from his chest. Stallone approached, a rare smile softening his features. "That was perfection," he said, voice carrying across the floor. "You owned every inch of that lift." The teen's throat constricted as he processed the accolade. He realized this wasn't just a lift. It was a milestone uniting every lesson learned, every doubt defied. He raised his fist in a quiet salute to the barbell, then to Stallone. In that instant, the weight ceased to be an obstacle. It became proof that strength born of persistence could triumph over any limit. And for the first time, he believed it. The aftermath of the clean and jerk still buzzed through the gym when he spotted the bully trio lingering by the free weights. Their swagger was gone, replaced by uneasy tension. The tallest one's jaw worked silently, eyes avoiding direct contact. He'd expected jeers or laughter, but the silence that greeted him felt heavier than any insult. The teen walked past, towel draped over one shoulder, and the trio's leader cleared his throat. He opened his mouth, then closed it, as if searching for words that wouldn't come. The second bully glanced at his friends, frowning. Without Stallone's guiding presence, they seemed lost in the realization that their mockery had shaped someone stronger than themselves. Around them, gym-goers resumed their routines, but sympathetic glances drifted toward the group. A trainer offered the trio a nod of acknowledgement at the teen's achievement, then shot a subtle look back at the bullies, as if daring them to reply. The trio shifted uneasily, the weight of every onlooker's stare pressing down. The bully who challenged him to the bench press took a tentative step forward. "Nice lift," he muttered, voice low. The words felt foreign on his tongue, as though admitting respect was an alien concept. The other two exchanged glances. One shrugged, the other simply nodded. The tallest bully exhaled, sounding winded. "Guess you got game," he admitted, voice barely above a whisper. The teen offered a curt nod, unsure how to respond. He dreamed of turning their taunts into triumph, but courtesy in the wake of victory felt unexpectedly courteous. Stallone appeared then, standing behind the teen like a silent sentinel. The trio instinctively took a step back, as though drawn by an unspoken command. Stallone's gaze passed over them once. No anger, just a measured calm, and the bully leader offered an awkward shrug before turning away. As the trio slunk off, the teen felt a surge of something unfamiliar, compassion. They'd chosen cruelty, and now they faced the mirror of their own behavior. He realized that his journey wasn't about humiliating them in return, but showing that strength could disarm arrogance. He exhaled, shoulders relaxing, and resumed his workout, this time with every rep a testament to respect earned, not demanded. He stood by the cable row machine, muscles still humming from his last set, when the first clap rang out. It was tentative at first, as if someone worried it might break the spell. Then another clap echoed, and another, like raindrops gathering into a waterfall. He froze mid-motion, cable handle in hand, heart skipping a beat. Turning, he saw Stallone at the edge of the crowd, nodding once, and the gym-goers around him were on their feet. Trainers, lifters, even the regulars who'd never said a word before joined in, their applause rolling across the room. The teen felt warmth rush through him, spreading from his chest into every limb. He set the handle down and stepped back, humbled by the roar of approval. Faces he'd never thought to notice beamed at him, some smiling, some wiping tears, all sharing the moment. He realized this was more than praise for a single lift. It was celebration of transformation and perseverance. From the corner, the bully trio watched, mouths agape. Their earlier arrogance crumbled under the authenticity of the applause. The tallest one looked torn, but he couldn't turn away. The second and third cheered quietly, their voices strained but genuine. Stage lights from a camera crew near the entrance flashed as they captured the scene. This local hero's triumph. Notifications chimed on nearby phones as footage went live. Instant messages of congratulations buzzed in group chats. He heard someone shout his name, and throughout the gym, others joined in, chanting until the noise became thunderous. He raised a hand in modest acknowledgement, cheeks burning. Stallone strode forward through the clustered crowd, clapping with slow, deliberate force. Every clap a stamp of approval. When he reached the teen, he placed a firm hand on his shoulder. "Never forget this feeling," he said simply. The applause swelled one final time, a tide of respect that swept over him. In that moment, he understood the power of community, that his struggle had become everyone's victory. With each clap still echoing, he gave a determined smile, ready to push forward, knowing he had an entire gym behind him. He found Stallone leaning against the smoothie bar, sipping a post-workout shake, the gym's hum soften around them. Stallone set the cup down and turned, eyes steady. "You know," he began, voice gravelly yet warm, "people often chase strength to impress others. But the real power comes when you live to improve yourself." The teen nodded, recalling the days filled with mockery and doubt. Stallone continued, "Every rep you've done wasn't just about muscles. It was about building discipline, resilience, respect for the effort and for the journey." He reached into his gym bag and pulled out a simple leather bracelet. "Remember this," he said, placing it on the teen's wrist. "It's not a trophy. It's a reminder that progress isn't always visible. Some days you'll feel weak, but if you show up, that's strength." The teen felt the leather's cool surface against his skin, its weight both tangible and symbolic. Stallone's gaze softened. "Strength without humility is hollow. Be proud, but stay grounded. Help others find their courage, like you had someone help you." He paused, studying the teen. "The gym could be a battlefield of ego, but you turned it into a proving ground for character." He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Consistency matters more than flash. One lift doesn't make you strong. The habit of lifting does. Keep showing up, keep respecting the process, and respect yourself for doing the work." Stallone clapped him once on the shoulder. "Your fight's not over. Every day brings a new challenge. Face it head on." The teen exhaled, absorbing the words like fuel. Around them, the gym's energy picked back up, machines whirring, weights clanging, life moving forward. Stallone picked up his shake. "I'll be watching," he said with a half smile. "But more importantly, you'll be watching yourself." With that, Stallone strode away, slipping into the rhythm of the gym. The teen traced the bracelet on his wrist, feeling a surge of purpose. Stallone's wisdom settled in his mind. Strength was more than lifts and reps. It was the quiet power of persistence, humility, and self-belief. And with that knowledge, every workout became more than a routine. It became a testament to who he was becoming. He walked into the gym the next morning with his chin held higher than before, each footstep echoing determination. The familiar hum of machinery and chatter greeted him like old friends. Today, he felt different. Light on his feet, shoulders squared, eyes scanning the space with quiet assurance rather than anxious anticipation. At the dumbbell rack, he paused to adjust the leather bracelet Stallone had given him. It felt snug, a constant pulse of purpose around his wrist. He selected a pair of moderate weights and began a set of bicep curls, muscles flexing smoothly under controlled form. Nearby lifters glanced his way, but this time the stares were curious rather than judgmental. He moved on to the cable station, adjusting the pulley and stacking plates with steady hands. As he pressed forward into rows, he noticed people giving ground, making room for him to work without collision. It was subtle, but it spoke volumes. His presence no longer invited whispers or smirks. It commanded respect. A trainer approached, offering a nod and a quick tip about grip width. He thanked her with genuine warmth, comfortable in sharing space and advice. The gym felt less like a battlefield and more like a community of allies, each person invested in improvement. The bully trio lingered by the weight benches, but they kept their distance. One of them offered a tentative wave as he passed. The teen returned the gesture without hesitation, surprising himself with how natural it felt. No bitterness lingered, only the memory of where he'd started and where he was now. He finished his routine at the pull-up bar, wrapping his fingers around the cold metal and hauling himself up with ease. Each chin-over bar rep felt like another affirmation. He belonged here. When he dropped down, he landed lightly and exhaled, feeling the swell of newfound confidence. Across the gym, Stallone gave him an approving nod from the rower. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the world narrowed to just the two of them, a mentor acknowledging a transformation. As the team picked up the rowing handle and settled into the machine, he realized the bracelet had done its job. He wasn't just lifting weights. He was lifting himself into a stronger future. He stepped back to the squat rack, the site of his earliest struggles, eyes tracing the familiar frame. The barbell rested at shoulder height, loaded with plates just beyond his comfort zone. His fingers paused on the cold steel, memories of tremors and fears flickering through his mind. But today felt different. The weight on his shoulders wasn't just iron. It was proof of every lesson learned. He unracked the bar, shoulders firm, and took a deliberate step backward. Settling his stance, he inhaled deeply, feeling the stretch along his quads and the solid ground beneath his feet. As he dipped into the squat, muscle fibers awakened in sync, driving power through his heels. The descent was controlled, hips lowering in harmony with his breath, and, at the bottom, he paused. No panic, just poised strength. He rose smoothly, barbell locked out overhead, every movement precise. A handful of gym-goers paused mid-workout to watch. Among them, Stallone leaned casually against a nearby pillar, watching with a faint smile. The teen felt a surge of energy, pushing for a second rep. He dipped again, mind clear, feeling the rhythm of bar path and body alignment. When he stood tall once more, he let the bar settle back into the rack with a confident clang. He stepped aside and picked up smaller plates, increasing the challenge. Each adjustment felt seamless, practiced, no hesitation, no doubt. As he added weight, his hands moved swiftly, guided by muscle memory. When he returned to the rack for a heavier set, the gym air seemed to pulse with anticipation. His final set began. 2 warm-up reps, then the work set. He gripped the bar, braced his core, and squatted down. At the bottom, he summoned every ounce of will, driving up through burning legs to stand erect. The weight shifted back onto the rack with authority. Cheers erupted around him, smashing against the gym walls like triumphant drums. He exhaled, chest heaving, and wiped sweat from his brow. Returning to the rack had been more than a workout. It was a full-circle moment. From shaking under that bar to commanding it with intent, he'd reclaimed his confidence, 1 rep at a time. And as the applause settled, he knew this victory would carry him forward, long after the weights were put away. He re-racked the bar and turned to see the bully trio watching from across the gym, their expressions a mix of awe and something else, uncertainty. The tallest one shifted his weight awkwardly, eyes flicking between the teen and the squat rack as if trying to reconcile two versions of reality. The second folded his arms, nodding slowly, while the third paced slightly, tension visible in every step. Their earlier swagger had drained away, replaced by a hesitant respect. The tallest approached first, clearing his throat as other gym-goers fell silent around them. When he spoke, his voice lacked its usual mockery. "Okay," he said, exhaling. "I didn't think you had it in you." He offered a tentative fist bump, which the teen accepted with a small, genuine smile. The second bully stepped forward then, holding out a hand to help carry a plate of discarded weights. "You've come a long way," he admitted, voice steady. "Makes me rethink how I treat people." His words hung in the air as the third weighed in, scratching the back of his neck. "Sorry about before," he mumbled. "You've earned my respect." The trio exchanged glances and, with synchronized awkwardness, gave him a nod of solidarity before returning to their own corner. A ripple of approval passed through the gym. Trainers and lifters who'd witnessed the exchange offered approving smiles. He realized the bully's reaction was more valuable than any applause, because they'd chosen humility over arrogance. In their small acts of acknowledgement, he saw transformation mirrored back at him. They'd learned something from his journey. Stallone, watching from the cable machine, gave a slight nod of approval. The teen felt warmth swell in his chest. He nodded back at the bullies, forgiveness and camaraderie mixing in an unexpected peace. They returned to their workouts, glancing his way with new attitude. No whispers, no sneers, just silent acknowledgement. As he moved on to his next set, the gym's energy felt lighter, more unified. The bully's reaction had completed a circle, turning hostility into mutual respect. He gripped the bar again, muscles ready, and pressed forward into his next challenge, knowing that strength could reshape not only himself but those around him. He stepped out of the gym into the cool evening air, the sun dipping below rooftops as the city hummed around him. His reflection in the shop window caught his eye, shoulders broader, posture proud, gaze steady. The transformation he'd forged within these walls was no longer confined to the gym. It traveled with him now. The next day, he arrived at school carrying his backpack with unspoken confidence. Hallways that once felt claustrophobic now seemed open, pathways to opportunity. Friends he'd avoided before gave him casual nods. Even teachers exchanged surprised smiles as he took his seat, offering quiet good mornings instead of the usual hurried greetings. Lunchtime brought something unexpected. The leader of the bully trio approached, sliding onto the bench beside him. "Hey," he said, voice sincere. "You want to join our group for the science project?" The invitation felt foreign but welcome, proof that respect could open doors once slammed shut. He smiled and accepted, a small but significant step. That afternoon, he volunteered to help coach younger students at a community center, guiding them through simple bodyweight exercises. Their wide-eyed admiration mirrored his own first days, and he realized he could pay forward the encouragement Stallone had given him. Each instruction he offered was infused with patience and belief, fuel for the next generation. After school, he met Stallone at the gym. The actor greeted him with a nod, and together they walked through the rows of machines. But this time, the teen stepped ahead, demonstrating a deadlift technique he'd mastered. Stallone watched, eyebrows raised in approval. When the teen finished, Stallone placed a hand on his back and said, "You're ready." As he loaded the last set of weights, he felt something profound. The journey was ongoing. The physical strength was real, but the true transformation lay in how he carried himself. Kindness replacing fear, leadership replacing doubt. The gym had been the crucible, but the world beyond its doors was the true test. And for the first time, he welcomed the challenge. He rose before dawn, the horizon just pale with promise as he laced up his sneakers. The world was quiet, save for the distant hum of traffic awakening. He jogged to the neighborhood park, muscles warm from habit, heart steady with purpose. At the old pull-up bar that had once felt unreachable, he gripped the metal and hauled himself up, chin clearing the bar with ease. As he lowered, he thought of the journey. Every snap of doubt turned into deliberate strength. A few early rising neighbors paused, offering nods of recognition. He returned them, recalling how he once shrank in the shadows. Now, his presence seemed to inspire, a testament that change begins with a single choice. He dropped down and moved to the parallel bars, launching into dips that carried more than his body weight. They carried every lesson learned, every mentor's word, every rep fought through. The sun slid higher, and he transitioned to bodyweight lunges along the path, each step flowing into the next. He felt the steady burn in his legs as a welcome companion rather than a warning. Strength, he discovered, wasn't measured only in lifted plates. It was the resilience that carried him through both the gym's challenges and life's unexpected tests. After his routine, he returned to the gym. Stallone was already there, quietly arranging plates by the deadlift platform. They exchanged a nod, no fanfare needed. He stepped into the rack, loaded a weight heavier than any he'd attempted before, and executed a flawless deadlift, hips and shoulders moving in harmony. The bar settled with a resonant clang that echoed like a promise. As he stepped back, Stallone's approving nod was the final seal. But the teen, now a young man forged in discipline and humility, knew the real endurance came in the unglamorous moments, showing up when tired, persevering when uncertain, and lifting the burdens of his own doubts. He squared his shoulders, eyes focused on future challenges, ready to carry this enduring strength beyond every barbell, every arena, and every moment yet to come.